Whoops.
We'll ask her that when we do our meeting.
Yeah. Okay, we're live. Looks like we're live anyway. So y'all, today is September the 29th. Tomorrow is the last day of the month. You know, people that aren't in Mary Kay, they probably don't even pay attention to the last day of the month unless they get paid on the first. Then those people, they know the last day of the month. But we always know the last day of the month. And I
Mm-hmm.
have for 40 years, knowing when the last day of the month is. Don't plan a party on the last day, except unless it's New Year's Eve, and then even then it's questionable. So, anyway, thank you guys for jumping on here today. Y'all know I have already done this study of this visioneering book, and this is my second time. And it's so weird because I read it again and I'm like, that is so good. Even though, I mean, it hadn't been that many months, y'all. I did this on May 14th. That just shows you, like, when you read different things and you read it again, you're going to get something out of it. Just like our Experiencing God book that we're doing for the directors. This is the third time, and I read it as if I have never read it before. It's so good. So, anyway, I am excited to see what y'all think about this chapter. I thought it was very good. Uh, and it's kind of like it may not apply to you right now. And the first time I read this, it didn't apply. I mean, some of the stuff applied, but I wasn't really. But then later, I'm like, that really applies right now. And so, it has in the past. So let's just talk about it for a minute. And the chapter is chapter 12. It's on page 163, and it's alignment. And the quote is from Abraham Lincoln. It says, "Some single mind must be master, else there will be no agreement in anything." And then the first part just talked about your car when your car gets out of alignment. How many of y'all have ever had that? And you let it go and it runs off the road. And so, and it talked about that on the second page. It said two reasons a car gets out of alignment. One is a bad jolt, like you hit a curb, you hit something. Ladies, how many of y'all have ever hit a curb? Every single one of us, don't lie. And then normal use, just over time, right? And it says you got to do something with it because it's never going to get back in alignment by itself. I thought that was a good example. And then the whole thing, and I'm just going to do a synopsis of the Bible part of this, which is Nehemiah building the wall and what happened. And then I want to ask y'all about the next part. Okay, so just to kind of summarize 164 and 165. So they were working on the wall, and there's some problems. First of all, they were running out of food. What happens when people don't have food? They get
Get a
hungry.
little cranky.
Cranky, hangry. Yeah, okay. And they're like, they can't think of nothing else, but I need to eat. Plus, natural conditions have produced a famine in the land. Third, they had been neglecting planting and harvesting because they've been working on the wall. Okay, so that was problem number one. Second, they had no money. They were running out of money because they weren't making money selling the harvest, and so they didn't have the extra grain, and so they had no money and they had no food. So that is two things that can make people pretty uncomfortable, right? Then they had threats of losing their farm, like they had to mortgage their farm in order to buy food and meet the needs short term. And to make matters worse, they had big taxes. So they were having to borrow money to pay the taxes, and even got down to, in that time, selling their family members as slaves to get money to pay taxes. I thought that sure would not work in the US of A, would it? Brad thinks he's
No.
gonna sell me to pay taxes. He got nothing coming. And he's sure ain't gonna sell my baby, right?
Right.
But that's what they used to do. They would, sell, and so when they came to the grips and they lost interest in the wall. And I'm sorry, I look like Farrah Fawcett here, but I'm having a little hot flash. And so you're wondering why my hair's blowing. Um, so in the midst of all this, there were some rich people, they call them the nobles, that decided to take advantage of the situation. Their own people, and they would give them money at super high interest rates. And even those people were allowing their neighbors to borrow themselves into slavery. And Nehemiah had just bought all the Jews that were sold into slavery and brought them back. And now their own people are selling their own people as slaves. So it was, number one, it was against the law and it's a direct violation of the law of Moses. So it was really, really bad. So they were ready to declare war on their own people. Much less, remember last week we talked about Sam Ballot and all them where they were going against the wall and they were trying to mock them and they were having to build the wall and have a spear in one hand. Well, so no, now they're not worried about them anymore. It's their own people. They're fixing to revolt. It's like a civil war. Okay.
Mhm.
Right. And
Mhm.
so this was a major bump. It was a jolt. And it said the vision, nobody was concerned about it anymore because everybody's like, look, I got to take care of myself and my family. And it was a big fat mess, right? So that is when something is out of alignment of the vision. So let's read, Maureen, start where it says aligning your team. And I want you to read that and flip to the next page and read that too.
What page are you on?
Okay.
Where
Regardless
it
of
says
how
at the bottom of 165.
Yeah,
regardless of how effectively you cast your vision initially, eventually a team member or two will work his way out of alignment. He will develop an agenda that is off-centered to the vision. Instead of working with the rest of your team, he will be pulling ever so slightly in a different direction. This usually transpires well into the implementation stage of a vision.
Okay, and go and read
Worse,
that next
okay,
chapter. I mean that next paragraph.
paragraph. Worse yet, someone may develop a competing agenda. Instead of a slight pull, he may be pulling directly against you. When a team loses its alignment, it is far less efficient. More energy is expended and less progress is made. There is extra wear and tear on team members. It makes for an unpleasant ride. And the longer you ignore the problem, the more costly it becomes.
Okay. Well, go ahead and read that next part. I just
All
thought
right.
this little thing was good. Just read it until
It
then
is
we'll
till
talk
it's
about it.
done. Like an automobile, if the situation goes unchecked, eventually there will be a breakdown. What begins as a slight irritation can develop into an expensive problem. Team members who are out of alignment can bring the progress of a family or organization to a screeching halt. What causes teams to lose their alignment? Time, usage, and bumps.
Okay. So I thought that was super good. And I'm going to
Mhm.
tell you about one example that happened to me probably 7 years ago. And I had a gal in my unit who was doing great things and became a sales director, doing great. And then after 3 months of being a director, she kind of changed her mind that she didn't want to do this. And she had 44 people on her team. And when she decided, she let all her people know what she had decided. And all 44 people, all but one, left Mary Kay.
wow.
And it was like, what happened? Do you know what I'm saying? And
The
she
whole unit.
decided to go into a different direction. And then that whole team, and then I look back and think, what could I have done? I don't know. But I just know that it does happen sometimes, in your Mary Kay business. And probably y'all, if y'all have ever worked for somebody else, I think women, we learn to kind of get along with each other. And not that this gal and we got along just fine. But anyway, um, in other jobs, I've seen it where there's in the office with either men or women or something, and then it's just an uncomfortable place to work. He's saying this, she's saying that. Have y'all seen that in your other
Mm-hmm.
jobs?
Oh,
And you
yeah.
just are like sick
Yes.
of it, And I'll tell you what, a lot of times people join Mary Kay when they're like in a job like that, they're just
To
like,
hear.
I can't deal with this anymore. And so the good thing is you can do something about it. So let's talk about that. What did y'all get? If someone put some stuff over that next part, like time and then bumps, anything that y'all underline or that kind of stood out to you on those 2 pages, 166 and 167, if you had time to read it.
Well, I thought on the alignment bit, it was really important because sometimes your whole life gets out of whack, or it could be just one part. You think it's everything, but it's like it can just be one little piece, and you'll be going wonky down the road. Just like if you turn loose the steering wheel, your car will go everywhere. But if you can get that one, if you can do the bug list and figure out what that one point is, and then work on it, you can be right back on top of it instead of just dwelling on it and doing nothing.
Absolutely. And that's a good point, Christine, because sometimes the person that's out of alignment is yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You had a vision and then you started going over here and you're like, I forgot I was going to do that. I kind of got on this binge over here. It's kind of like when you go outside to maybe you're gonna, I use a blower, but like blow off the back porch and then you see weeds and then all of a sudden you're weeding. And then you're like, maybe I'll go over here and move this straw around. And then you're just like squirrel, right?
Yeah,
And that's just
definitely.
for a short little time. Sometime in your business, you can do that too. And maybe you were focused on team building, building your team and going somewhere. And then you got distracted on something else that you're trying to start working on, selling Mint Bliss socks. Okay. And which is good. But if you have a super goal, you gotta stay focused on that. So thank you, Christine, for that. Or who else has something on that? Or any of this first 3 or 4 pages?
You know what? On page 167, towards the middle, where it
Yeah.
talks about in this situation, it's tempting for a manager or business owner to become problem centered instead of vision centered. And that was screaming at me. It reminded me of what we heard one of the national sales directors say before, that what we focus on grows, right?
Mhm.
And it's like anything. If I stay with trying to solve the problem versus staying to the vision, look at I've passed my kitchen, I'm not kidding you, 20 times today. And all I wanted to do was clean the floor. That's all I wanted to do. I wanted to clean the floor. I kept going through, getting water or whatever, not water, but anyway, all I wanted to do was clean the floor. And I'm in my mind, I'm like, okay, Maureen, I'll only take it 20, 22 minutes, something like that. And I'm like, no, I will not do it. It is not part of my agenda today. And it it's so easy to get distracted to problem solve. The problem is that the floor is dirty. Is it gonna help me to get where I need to go in my Mary Kay business? Because I had stuff to do today in my Mary Kay business, and it would have been 20 minutes. I'm sorry. It would have been an hour and a half because I would have pulled up because I just can't clean like that. So I just had to let it go. And I had to so then I had to stop going in there. So problem solving, vision centered. You might as well just say IPAs or, income producing activities on our vision. So
Yeah.
anyways, that was screaming at me today. So that's what I
Good.
got on that.
Thank you. Christine put in the comments, it said your timer tip you shared it really helped me. And last week I talked about if you have something happen to you, give yourself a 5-minute pity party. And then you have a little timer, turn it on and scream, yell, whatever you got to do. And then after that, go, okay, got it out of myself, and we can move on. So
And with the time and the bumps in the road, to me, that's the inevitable of stuff happening. And so it's like when we're in a family or a team, things are going to happen. So my thing is being distracted, is keeping the blinders on. This is my
Yeah.
challenge all the time.
yeah,
And not trying to, fix the world around you, because
Yeah.
what is going to serve me and what is my focus, and I have to tell myself that every day.
I put on, that topic talked about families that have, a child a rebellious child, and then they put all the time and energy on fixing Sally, and then the good girls and the good little boys are like, they got to start acting out because they get nothing anymore because all the attention is on the bad kid, and so here's the thing, once you address a situation or something that's happening, then it's back to the vision. It's not we're not going to talk about it every single week. We'll quit talking about it because
Right.
what you talk about grows, and we're going to talk about moving to million, right? And we're going to talk about running like a cheetah, and we're going to talk about hitting that red jacket and becoming a new sales director, and we're going to talk about what we want to grow, right?
Yes.
But we can't ignore things, so we have to address things, and it's just part of life, right? Let's
Right.
go ahead and flip over to the next page.
I've
So-
underlined on 168,
Yeah.
visions thrive in an environment of unity. And I thought that was really important because there will be bumps in the road of, always things happen. And I had a personal bump in the road with my son, which happens every once in a while. And he's grown man, married, has 2 kids, but every once in a while we have a bump. And we just had to agree to reset and move on and agree to disagree on the issue. And it took about a week or two, but he was over on Sunday and we hugged and things are back to normal. But you have to just kind of reset sometimes, and that visions won't thrive unless you have unity among them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank
True.
you.
Whatever you're doing.
I underlined that and put a big old star by it.
Me
You
too.
know, it's like what's bringing us together, right?
Mhm.
The building block says visions thrive in the environment of unity. Like she said, they die in an environment of division.
Vision.
And then at the bottom of that page, I thought it was pretty good. It says when individuals function from the standpoint of self-promotion, self-protection, alignment evaporates. Whether it's family, church, or business, when team members are out of alignment, inefficiency rules. You begin measuring gallons to the mile instead of miles to the gallon. I thought that was pretty good, you know.
Mhm.
And so the next part talks about locating the problem. So let's just read that. Or you guys, number one, they will attempt to control rather than serve. So let's look at this in two ways. Look at it as our vision in your team, but then also look at it, we're going to look inward. We're going to look outward and inward. Am I
Mhm.
doing that? And if I am, let's catch myself and go back to serving, right? Number two, they'll manipulate people and circumstances to further their own agendas. And we've all seen people do that, haven't we? And then when people figure it out, they lose respect and you don't follow them anymore, right? So we have to check ourselves on that as well. Number three, they exhibit an unwillingness to resolve their differences face to face. They'd rather talk about you than to you.
Oh,
We
no.
got to, right, Deborah? We got to, yeah, they'd rather sit on hurt feelings and go to that person who hurt them, you know. Number four, they exhibit an unwillingness to believe the best about other teammates. I think this is something in Mary Kay that we don't struggle with as much because Mary Kay has really taught us to uplift women and uplift our sisters. And when they do good, we're happy for them, you know?
Mhm.
And when they fall, we want to help them up. And so I guess it does happen some, but I think for the most part, I've always seen the best in our sister consultants with each other. Do y'all feel that way with
Yeah,
Mary Kay?
absolutely.
Not
Most
all
definitely.
jobs, but with Mary Kay, for sure.
And it's also when we do struggle, you guys are there. There's a plan to figure
right.
out in a positive way.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And then this next one I think doesn't apply to Mary Kay. And if it does, then it's probably not the business they need to be in when it says they view team members' failures as their own personal success. So
Mm.
we
no.
don't roll that way in Mary
We
Kay.
can scratch that one out.
That's right. Yeah, scratch it out. And so if that ever happened, you know that they don't understand what we're trying to do here. And that's empower women and empower each other to be good Christian leaders, to be good Christian women, to help our customers feel good on the outside. But then eventually we want that to carry over so they feel better on the inside about themselves, right?
That's
Absolutely.
right.
Yeah. And when someone has a failure in Mary Kay, we really, Mary Kay Ash used to say, no one fails in Mary Kay. You may have a time where you don't meet a goal, but if you get
Mhm.
back up, you did not fail. Fail is only when you just shut
Yep.
the door and you're done and quit.
Walk away. One thing I've noticed with I call them my outside friends that aren't in Mary Kay, and the few friends that have said negative things. You're going to do that? You don't even wear makeup, and you do this and you do that. But when now, and by the way, I'm just celebrating my second year birthday in Mary Kay. Yay.
Mm-hmm.
Now I call my Mary Kay family and share my heart, and they lift me up and pray with me when my outside friends want to be on my side. They want to and nitpick and talk negative. And so Mary Kay people don't do that. They lift you up in prayer and get you rolling again, and it's positive.
Clear
Absolutely.
difference.
Yes, and one real quick, when I was at a career conference in Orlando one time, I'll never forget this. I'm not making fun of anybody when I say this, but the lady was Spanish speaking, but she had broken, English, whatever. And she said, "Just remember, we are all winners."
Winners. I love
Winners.
it.
And I was so it's just stuck with me.
I love it. I love it.
Funny.
All right, you guys, let's go ahead and flip over. And then, it talked about a little Sunday school issue. So I don't know that to me, they didn't even really tell exactly what the deal was with that. So, but then it talked about a time to act. So let's get back to Nehemiah a minute. So Nehemiah decided to act. If he could not ignore the problem plaguing the workers. To do so would only contribute to the problem, but neither could he afford to lose sight of the vision. He had to build the wall, right? God had not
Mm-hmm.
called him to fix the economy. He'd be commissioned to rebuild the wall. However, he's wise enough to know they were linked. He said there was something else driving him, and it was what the nobles were doing that was illegal. And that he was like, no, ma'am, no, sir, right? Um, and so I like at the bottom, and I think this is so important for us in our business. It says, Nehemiah knew that ignoring God's law made them an unblessable people. So we have to, that's why we're doing a Bible study. We just want to do the best we can, and we want to be in line with God's word, with our business and in our life. And we want God to be able to bless us. We don't want him to go, nope, because you're doing these things that are against what the Bible says. Am
Right.
I right?
Yep.
So I thought that was really good. So if you turn the page, basically, he just so you don't, in case you didn't have your book, for the rest of the story, he said, I was very angry. It's okay to get mad. I heard their outcry, these words. I consulted with myself. I contended with the nobles and the rulers. I said, you're exacting usury, each from his brother. Therefore, I held a great assembly against them. So he called a meeting
Mm-hmm.
and missed all this stuff. And of course, this is a storybook ending for this part of it because, he basically went through there and told them, you cannot do this. This is illegal. Matter of fact, I need you to give everybody their land back, their house back, their fields, their olive groves, and also the 100th part of the money and the grain of the new wine and oil that you were extracting from them. And you know what they did? They said, yes, we'll give it back. We'll require nothing. We'll do exactly as you say.
Mm-hmm.
That don't happen often, but it did in this instance, right? Praise
Yep.
the praise the Lord, he got some favor, right? And then he took an oath from him, and then he gave him a little blessing and a curse. Basically, if you don't do it, may you be shaken out and emptied. And so
Mm-hmm.
it says all the people said amen, they praised the Lord, and they did according to the promise. So right here is not where the whole story ends, but for this chapter it does. So he didn't just let it keep going and then go, oh, well, Lord, I don't know what you told me to do this, then all this happened, right? He took some action on it.
Yep.
So that's the last part of this is taking action. So what did y'all get out of this part where it says take action?
It's just like a house, right? So you got maintenance on the house. You got to do it. If you don't do it, it's going to get worse.
Yeah.
So just like
Take care of it.
you got to take care. So he called the meeting, and like it's not okay to ignore this kind of stuff because it just grows. Like that kind of thing is like poison. It can get in between people and the whole crowd. So,
True.
talking about if the longer you wait, he says here in the text, the longer you wait, the more complicated it gets. And then you think the problem's gone, but it's gone underground. And when it rears its, like when you, even myself, like when I got to talk about something with somebody, and if I just push it down, push it down, push it down, it's going to come out somewhere. And Lord knows it might not even come out on them. It might come out on somebody else, but we got to take care of that kind of thing. Like, what does Mary Kay Ash say? Do it now, do it now, do it now.
Mm-hmm.
Don't
Absolutely.
delay. Don't delay.
So the next page, it had just it says along the way, model behavior that's conducive to alignment with your team members. This is for us leaders. Lead, don't control. Be a woman of integrity, that you do what you say. Okay. Resolve your differences face to face. Don't talk about them. Talk to them. Believe the best about others. And I think that's really good. It says to do so otherwise is to contribute to the discord in your family or organization. So I think it's something we all need to work on every now and then when conflicts come up and things happen. And then it had a whole thing. Are there alignments issues among your family or team that needs to be addressed? And if you fill that out, that's something you can kind of think of. What would help you if you got it right, right? And so like he said, you may not need this chapter today, but you might need to dog ear it so you can come back to it in another time, right? For your family or your business or whatever it is, right? Am I stuck?
No. Oh,
That's
Yes.
yeah,
well,
that's
you
very-
were.
Not on my
You
side.
always, if you go stuck, it's gonna be something stupid, right? Well, you guys, I wanted to read a Bible verse that I found. I don't know if I read this last week or not, but it was my book holder, and it's Deuteronomy 28:2. It says, all these blessings will come on you and accompany you if you obey the Lord your God. So I thought that's
mm,
a pretty
I
good
like that.
little verse right there. All
yeah.
right.
Yep.
Deuteronomy 28:2. So I do know we have a couple of prayer requests. So I'm going to stop the video and just do a prayer for everybody. And we'll start our unit meeting right after this. So hang on just a minute. Oh.